The Undercountry Music News is an excerpt of the weekly internet broadcast Undercountry Music, which features music from great country artists you won't hear on mainstream radio, as well as a roundup of the most interesting country music news of the week without all the fluff. This program you're listening to right now contains only the news portion of the show. To listen and subscribe to the full weekly episode containing the music and interviews, please visit undercountry.com or simply subscribe to the Undercountry Music Podcast on iTunes. Let's get into it. Okay, well, now at this time, we're going to check in with the platforms that carry us as a talk show only format. And the reason we do that is we've got a couple of platforms out there where they don't allow us to put music on there. So this next section of the show is what we give to them. This goes into the larger show, but it gets cut out of the larger show and specifically placed on like Spreaker and then also on YouTube. Because it doesn't have any music, it won't draw any copyright flags because they don't care if I have permission or not. They still flag me for copyright, regardless of if you say it's okay for me to play it. But anyway, Richard, we're going to get into the section of our show right now called The Undercountry Music News! Okay, well, that sounds great. All right. Now, have you had to listen to this show before, Richard?
I have. I listened to it just prior. I think I emailed you first. We were chatting back and forth via email a couple weeks ago.
Okay, so you know what you're in for here.
I hope. I don't know. Maybe something different, but I'm for it.
All right. Game. Well, the Undercountry Music News is a segment of this show where every single week I go on to Google and I look for the search term country music news. And whatever websites come up for that search term on the front page of Google, I dive into those websites. And I peek and I prod and I pry and I kind of poke them with sticks until, because a lot of times I go onto these websites that are supposed to have country music news, and the dirty secret is that a lot of times they don't. By and large, they don't. They have press releases from artists and their management companies and no real news. So my job here is that I report on those who report the country music news, and I try to find the one or two actual news stories on each of those websites, and I compile them all into this beautiful portion of the show, otherwise known as the Undercountry Music News.
Okay.
Yes. And
all right.
Yeah, and the Undercountry Music News is just an excerpt of the larger program, Undercountry Music. And for those of you just joining us on our talk show format, I am hanging out here with Richard Lee of the classic band The BRYMERS, who started way back in the 60s and then sort of reformed by accident when they found out that there was a resurgence in their music, and they decided to hop on it and take advantage of it. And here we are, 45 years later, and these guys are just out there tearing it up again.
We're having a lot of fun. We're really enjoying it, and enjoying the crowds. And what amazes me, I know on our website are I always like to ask the age of people who will call or will email us and ask about it. And these are people who are like in their 20s and 30s and 40s, and they're aficionados on this type of music. And it really amazes me. And it's glad to hear that.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, there is one other part to the Undercountry Music News, which can sometimes be a little dangerous for a person reviving their long-standing careers here. And that is, when I come across a website that's supposed to report country music news but has no country music news, that website gets rewarded with the Undercountry Music News Wet Belch of the Week.
That sounds great.
Now, have you ever... Now, you've had a pretty long career in music here. We're talking about 50 years or so, right, if I've calculated correctly?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been on a show where the host was belching?
Nope, never have.
All right, well,
I never have.
Today, and you thought you'd seen it all through the 60s and 70s, and, today just might break some grand new... there are weeks where I don't belch because, fortunately, everyone will have some news, but it's a rarity. I belch almost every episode. There was even an episode where I belched twice.
That's great.
All right, are you ready to get into it here?
Yeah, I am. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, we're going to start over at GAC, Great American Country. And now, GAC comes in at the top of the search results this week, and that is a rarity because almost every single week, CMT is the top Google search result for country music news. That stated, they have got...
There it goes. Okay, I heard that one.
They got the Undercountry Music News Wet Belch of the Week because apparently they got to the top by doing nothing. But wouldn't we all like to get to the top by doing nothing?
I know it. Well, evidently they have a lot of views or something.
Yeah,
what are they, mainly press releases that they're doing then?
It's just all BS press releases. I looked through it. There was no actual news on there. Now, fortunately, everybody else that I checked in with did have some form of news in there, and so we got the belch behind us here, and you did survive it, and that's a new experience for you, Richard. All right, over at CMT, which comes in at number 2 this week. The big story here, actually got a couple stories here. Okay, actually I think it's only one story, but it's a long one. It had 2 paragraphs. All right, CMT they are launching a new portion of their offerings called News and Docs. That's DOCS, I guess means documentaries to division. And it has a slate of brand new projects that are currently in development from critically acclaimed and award-winning producers, including Ridley Scott and Morgan Spurlock, amongst others. Apparently they're doing a documentary on the BRYMERS. No, they're not. No, but
I know that.
All right. At the network did a presentation on April 2nd, and they revealed several projects that include one called Promised Land, and that's being produced by Ridley Scott. I'm not really sure what that's all about. I didn't really delve in that deep. One called They Called Us Outlaws. I'm assuming that's about the outlaw country movement, and that's by Eric geadelman, I don't know. And also Academy Award winner Mark Johnson. There's a documentary called Freedom, and that's being directed by Morgan Spurlock. And Urban Legend, When a Nation Went Country by John Dorsey and Andrew Steffen. And they're also premiering a Johnny Cash documentary called American Rebel. And if those are of interest to you, you can read more about them over at CMT.com and see all this new stuff they're coming out with.
Well, I think that's great in our age of technology. One, that people have access to this, especially maybe people are not familiar with, they've heard his name, but it's some of his music. It's like Johnny Cash.
It's amazing. It's all right here at our fingertips now.
It is. And that's what I think is tremendous about it. It really is.
You guys ought to film a documentary. I think you guys have an amazing story.
Well, it's very nice of you to say so. And believe it or not, a person has approached us. This is probably about 8 months ago about that. And we said, we're game for anything, folks, and about that, because some of the people that we happen to be associated with back in the day and some of the places we were at and so forth. And like I said, it was just a lot of fun. And I can't say enough about it.
All right. Well, we're going to move on now to countryweekly.com. Are you familiar with the CMT Crossroads show?
I've heard of it. I have not seen it.
Now, that's normally where they take a pop act, a pop and or rock act, and they pair them with a country act, and then they play each other's songs.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
Now,
I have, yes. Now I'm aware of that.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, coming up on CMT, and this is Country Weekly that's reporting it. Now, this is the odd thing. Country Weekly's reporting this about CMT, and CMT didn't even report it about themselves. So, go figure. But I digress. Upcoming on CMT Crossroads, Kacey Musgraves and Katy Perry are going to be performing together, be performing each other's songs in unholy matrimony there. And you'll be able to...
that should be interesting.
And if you want to know more about that, don't go to CMT, go to Country Weekly to find out what's going on over at CMT. I've got a tough job here.
I know it. I was not a big fan of Katy Perry. But what we tend to forget sometimes is that these people are multi-dimensional. Maybe they made it in one genre of music, and that's what you know them for, but they could probably sing any style. And I'm not sure if some of your fans happened to tune in and saw the Grammys 50th anniversary salute to the Beatles. But Katy Perry did a song on there yesterday, the McCartney and Lennon, and she hit it out of the ballpark. It was a tremendous version she did.
Yeah, she's an amazing performer. She actually started out as a Christian artist.
Oh no, I didn't realize that. Is that right?
And now she puts out a lot of really filthy music, and it's like, okay.
I know it. She does. It really is great, and I enjoy it. And what I enjoy especially is some in the country field right now. They're pop. They are pop country artists.
Richard, I just said Katy Perry puts out a lot of filthy music now, and you go, oh yeah, that's great. I love it.
Oh, I heard that. I know it.
Oh, okay. I wanted to make sure you heard it because like last Friday night, we had a menage a trois. It's things like that. But I'm a DJ as my living. I play a lot of schools and things like that where they ask for Katy Perry, and a lot of times I have to sit here and edit these songs to be clean, and it takes a while to get all the stuff that I can't play in front of kids in schools out of there.
I understand fully.
All right. Anyway, speaking of tastelessness, we got a website we're heading over to now called Taste of Country. Are you familiar with Taste of Country?
I am not. No, I'm not.
You're about to be, because they are number.
Okay.
What are they? Number 4 on the Google search results? I believe they are. Okay. Now, I usually take a pass on the type of story I'm about to report, and the reason is not because they're not wonderful things, but it's because everybody has a cause, everybody has a charity, and everybody's got a freaking bleeding heart about something, and it's cool. It's a wonderful thing. I do as well, but and it seems like every time I pull up a country music news site, there's a story about a celebrity going to visit kids in the hospital, like kids with cancers and things like that, and that's wonderful. I'm not knocking it, but I don't really think of it as news because it's they got their cameras there and everything like that. I hate to think this way, but I think sometimes these guys go in there for their publicity shots, and I mean that's.
I know what you mean. Some of them are photo ops, and a lot of the people you never hear about just by accident. Maybe years later, the people who are in there who really have an interest, concern, and so forth. For a particular charity or whatever.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a double-edged sword there because while you want to go in there earnestly and under the radar, I guess using your celebrity to draw attention and maybe help fundraise is another reason to have the cameras there. So, it's a tough call to make on that one. So, but this week. Our story, I did pass by this story on one of our previous websites, but then I saw the headline over at Taste of Country, which actually revealed a little bit more right in the headline, and that's what made me stop and bring it here onto the Undercountry Music News and give a round of applause for Taylor Swift, who doesn't make a whole lot of country music anymore. She makes mainly pop, but they still call her country. But she did pay a visit to the Rhode Island Children's Hospital and spent time with kids with cancer. And there is no way that this was just a photo op because, and this is what grabbed me, she spent 5 hours with the kids.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, geez.
Yeah, now if your heart's not in it, you pop in, you do an hour, play a couple songs, wave your hand, let the cameras click, and then you blow out. But obviously, this was something her heart was truly in to spend that amount of time on that day with those kids. And I just wanted to give Taylor, whose music I hate, some props here on Undercountry Music for being awesome.
I'm not a real fan of Taylor Swift either. But the one thing she has about her, well, number one is that she's a megastar. But you get that combination of a songwriter plus an entertainer together, and she's written some songs that appeal to a lot of folks.
I gotta tell her, the songs are actually very good. I mean, she can write a tune that gets stuck in your head and you'll just never get it out of there. And
they have some great hooks. And they're about things that teenage girls love to listen to. And boys, I should just pick on girls. About love, relationships, someone leaving somebody, somebody being with somebody else. And they're great little things, and they're great melodies that I think of similar songs.
Yeah, I got to tell you, you got to hand it to her. So I mean, she's a talented girl. Anyway, we're going to head on over to theboot.com at this time. Brantley Gilbert opens up about his split last year with Jana Kramer. I'm not going to really dive into that kind of gossipy stuff here, but it was the only thing that was halfway news on there. And if you kind of care for that gossipy kind of thing and want to read more about that, you can go over to theboot.com and you can explore that further for yourself. Now, I also...
One thing about the... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One thing about the gossipy stuff, no matter how long you discuss it, with how many people, you end up where you began, with gossip.
That's exactly right. That's about it. It's not like you're going to solve anything for them.
I know it. Right.
Well, they got also over there at theboot.com, they have Tracy Lawrence's new video for the song Lie. And I had a look at the video. It's a typical heartbreak song that sounds like all the other typical heartbreak songs. And his love interest in the video is about half his age, which kind of made it all sort of creepy. And there's also a bunch of nakedness in the video, but it's his girl, which is about half his age, getting with the guy that's also her age. And, and he finds her ring over at this other guy's place. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving Tracy Lawrence's Lie a cat turd.
I tell you, I know. I did not see it, so I can't make a comment on it.
Well, the girl's pretty hot looking. I mean, and she's naked in the video, so he knows how to market.
I did. That's good. I did see an older guy with a younger gal that I thought was his daughter. So that might have been it. I'm not sure.
Well, maybe it was his daughter in the video, for all I know. Anyway, we're going to move along now. We've got 2 more places to check into, and the first one of those 2 is nashvillegab.com, one of my favorite sources. And this week over at nashvillegab.com, there has been criminal activity.
Criminal? What happened?
Willie Nelson's stuffed armadillo mascot has been stolen for the second time in less than a year. And there is a video of the crime being carried out via a backstage security camera where they caught the lady on camera stealing it off of a soundboard.
Oh, jeez.
And you can go there and to nashvillegab.com and you can see the surveillance video of Willie Nelson's stuffed armadillo getting stolen.
Well, I'm going to have to try it.
Have you ever had an armadillo stolen?
I never have. I've never even had one to be stolen. But you know, hopefully, I think by the way they look, by having it, you hope someone will steal it. I'm not quite sure.
Well, apparently this was just a stuffed toy armadillo. It wasn't like a real taxidermied armadillo.
Well, you mentioned Willie. I have a good friend in Southern California that, in fact, he has a TV show. We'll be going down there in June. Anyway, he's done a number of albums with Willie Nelson. And if you notice, we all have this kind of country background. Even though we played, we're not a full country artist or anything. And Nelson's come to his house many times when he's had his tour bus and parked it out there. And he talks about how gracious that Nelson is. And about, he just really enjoys being around him. And he's done a number of shows with him. And his name is Merle Fankhauser. And I've really enjoyed hearing some of his stories that he shared with me about Willie Nelson.
Yeah, Willie Nelson seems like a sweet guy. I've never had the pleasure of meeting him or even seeing him live. I have not. I know all you have to do is when you smell a bus coming down the road that smells like French fries and weed, you know Willie's in town.
Yes, you got it. And about a year ago, he did a special. It was out of, I believe it was at Carnegie Hall, and it was quite a collection. I thought, I had to watch this because I thought, how could this group of people get together? And it was Branford Marcellus of the Marcellus Brothers out of New Orleans, jazz artist, Willie Nelson there, and Nora Jones. And they did this all country stuff.
Well, and I can see that because Willie used to write a bunch of like jazzy swing country back in the early day, like things like Patsy Cline and things like that. I mean,
right.
that when I think of it in that context, it and he's done a lot of jazz releases as well.
Right.
Anyway, we got to
move. He did a lot with some Blink too.
Yeah, we got to move on to Country Standard Time now. And they are reporting that Johnny Cash's new album, Out Among the Stars, has debuted at number 3 in the overall Top 200 chart on Billboard. Not bad for a dead guy, huh?
Oh, geez, it is. That's tremendous, man. That's good for his relatives reflecting the royalties, I guess.
Yeah, well,
I shouldn't sound like that, but no, it is. This guy, great contributor, great artist, and he broke new grounds with the sound that he had.
Absolutely. I had to listen to one of the duets with June Carter Cash today. Now, I heard a couple songs last week, and I talked about them on the show, and the subject matter of the songs was great, and I struggled with a lot of the polished production in it. It just seemed a little too clean for Johnny Cash, and that, I like my Johnny Cash gritty, and this one had a real clean production as well, but it was just a really, really great song. This song that is on here, a duet with June Carter Cash called Baby Ride Easy, it is every bit as good as any classic Cash and Carter, June Carter song that I've ever heard.
Oh. Well, that's good. Well, I have to check that out then and listen to it because that's great. Like I said, he's just a great artist, and I'm glad that he got the accolades way before he passed away. With a lot of people about what an influence he had.
Yeah, he did really good. Well, doing something edgy like putting out a 9 Inch Nails song, I thought was really cool. And that
oh, jeez. And he's a great artist. When we were traveling around the country, common practice in the day in the 60s for rock acts, they would book you into a nightclub. That's where you become like nightclub entertainers. All the new songs you'd write to record, you would play them in there for the audiences and see how they reacted to them. Then you go in the studio. It was great. Then on the weekends you do concerts. But I can't think of one place we ever was at that someone didn't request a song by Johnny Cash.
Oh yeah,
they always did.
That's even today. So, but
yeah,
the band on this song by Johnny and June that I just talked about, the band just smokes. It's just an unbelievable band, and Johnny and June both sound absolutely amazing. It was recorded in the early '80s, and they were just at performance-wise and peak-wise, they were just on the top of their game. But anyway, this has been your Country Music News. Right, Richard Lee of the BRYMERS. Before we let our people in talk show land go, I want to make sure they know how to get in touch with you, and we're going to get into some more music here in just a second. But before we send away the talk show listeners, tell them where they can find your music and how they can get in touch with you to dig into the BRYMERS even more.
Well, like I said, first of all, it's out on all your digital outlets, from Napster to Amazon, CD Baby, iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, you name it, and it's all over it. Then also, if you want to take a look at some of the pictures of the band, members of the band, and kind of a history of the band, you can visit our website at www.thebrymers.com. And BRYMERS is spelled BRYMERS. And a little thing new for you from people that we have a guest book there. If you say, hey, we listened to Neil's show, and the first 5 people that I get a message from, I'll send you a copy of our latest CD.
Wow. And that is something that you cannot pass up right there. I got to tell you, because they've got some awesome stuff. And you'll be able to actually hear their stuff if you go over to their website, or, you can just, if you're listening on a talk show only format, go over to undercountrymusic.com and you can listen to the full hour-long episode of what you're hearing right now. Anyway, we're going to say goodbye to our people in Talk Show Land and get over to more music. Bye, Talk Show Land people. Thank you for listening to the Undercountry Music News. The Undercountry Music News is just a small excerpt of the weekly hour-long internet broadcast Undercountry Music, where I, Neil Smith, not only round up the week in country music news and put my own spin on it, but I also play music and have great interviews by lesser-known original country acts, the kind that you won't hear on mainstream country radio. If you're thirsting for that, get on over to undercountry.com where you can listen and subscribe. You can also subscribe via iTunes to Undercountry Music. Thanks so much. Stay under, stay country.